3 John verse 2 is a regular, popular verse for those of us who like to share health message in the Adventist circle. I always view Adventist Christian life as a joyous one, a healthy one, a happy one. 3 John verse 2 is a verse that reassures me that we ought to have that. And beside this verse, I always like to quote John chapter 10, verse 10, where Jesus promised that He comes to give us abundant life. Not just abundant life in future, like what we studied today, the kingdom of glory, but it is actually a kingdom of grace now. We ought to experience a kingdom of, we ought to experience this abundant life. Now, how important it is Adventist health message to the church? In the 19th century, where the church was just beginning in North America, in the northeastern part of North America, there were actually a lot of mystical, unproven, unscientific medical treatments for the American. The health of American were pretty poor at that time. There are ways of treating, such as bloodletting. George Washington, the father of America, actually he died of being bled to death. He was not well. Then the doctor came to him, and then one of the conventional popular treatment was let the person bleed. Okay, so he was bled to death. And J.N. Laborov, one of our pioneer in the Adventist circle, actually was known to be a heavy smoker, and he loved to eat bread with lard, full of lard and pork. Right? This is, shouldn't be surprising to you. We as individual Adventists, we travel through a journey of sanctification, growing up in Christ, in our character. The church also went through this cycle of growing up, understanding truth better and better. This is not meant for you to read very tiny words, but through the amazing invention of internet, you can go back to the history in reading about Advent Herald and Advent Review and Sabbath Herald. Advent Review and Sabbath Herald was the magazine which actually James and Ellen White started in the late 1840s. After the Great Disappointment in 1844, they were traveling around the northeastern state of America, and they were trying to encourage the believers, the fellow Adventist believers, to stay faithful to the message that, actually the 2,300 years of prophecy did not fail, but it was a wrong interpretation and whatever. And I was not going to share with you about that, but in the very tiny, this is 1960s, first week periodicals of Advent Review and Sabbath Herald, there's this corner, obituary. Just to share with you that the Adventists in the 19th century was not much better than the population around them. Unlike today. Today, if you go to internet and search and type Adventist and longevity and Adventist health, you might feel proud that there are Yahoo and CNN and all these things pointing and asking people to, if you like to live a long life, live the Adventist way. Follow the Adventist. Follow the Seventh-day Adventist. Okay, if you just go to the internet and search, you will find this kind of recommendation, not from Seventh-day Adventists, okay, from Yahoo, and there's one longevity researcher by the name of Dan Buettner, who has become very popular and probably make it very rich, at least partly from the Adventist health message. Okay, he visited Loma Linda and interviewed all the people. Okay, but In 1860, the first week of 1860, that obituary had an announcement of a 17-year-old young man in the Adventist family died of typhoid, an infectious disease, a foodborne infectious disease. Adventists in the 19th century, in the early 19th century, before the church was officially organized, well, by 1860, the church was quite non-officially organized. Okay, the church was in the formative stage between 1844 and 1863. It was only officially organized and carried the name of Seventh-day Adventists in 1863. So in 1860, the first Sabbath of 1860, there was this obituary in this periodical. And if you like to read all the periodical, you just search in the internet, you can read all. What was the message like? Print is very small. But I managed to find one that says that the person died at the age of 17. Now, at that time, just before the church was officially organized, about 25% of the Adventist circle family, okay, those who are from the Adventist family, 25% died before 7 years old. And another 25% died by the age 30. Okay? So if we all live at that period of the history, most of us are dead, including me. Right? Maybe between me and Elder Thomas, I think one of us should be dead. 50%. Right? 50%. Yeah. If you are above 30 years old, half of us should be dead. Okay, that is in the church at the formative stage. And remember, we just sang the song, we gather together to ask the Lord for blessings. I'm sure the Adventists during that time, they gathered together and asked the Lord for a lot of blessing, especially to pray for good health. To pray for good health. And even at this stage, we still pretty often need to ask this. But we are at a much, much better health compared to the early Adventists. Right? I mean, most of us live beyond, the average age here, probably more than 30. So, probably we ought to recognize that one of the blessings that God has given us, God works in a many mysterious way and also the very conventional way, non-dramatic way. Okay, God can actually touch and heal you or stand before the sepulchre and call out Lazarus, and Lazarus will jump out. Just like if Jesus Christ appeared and walked by Mount Erskine Cemetery, maybe many of the tombs may just break open and people will just jump out, be resurrected. Those are the dramatic way. But God also works in the very conventional, very, very normal way. Something like if you drink a lot of water, maybe your kidney stone can fall out from your kidney. Yeah, it's pretty normal, but it is still something that is from God. Now, in one hand, I only have 5 fingers, so I don't want to list too many reasons why God wants to give us health message. God desires us to live longer. God wants us to live longer, okay? That we might live longer and that we might enjoy our lives. It is quite difficult for us to enjoy our life, although it's not impossible, but it's quite difficult for us to enjoy our life while we are bearing the illness, some sickness. It's not so easy. Our mindset have to be a lot better. If we have some physical ailment, it's a lot more challenging to stay positive and enjoying and exude a vibrant image to our friend, Number 3, that we might be enabled to render service to God longer and more efficiently. One part of how the church is continuing to grow is due to the retired Adventists. Okay, generally Adventists retired. Our retirement age is at 65. Okay, in America at least. In Malaysia now we have followed the government to extend our retirement age to 60. But generally Adventists live about 10 years longer than the people in the same community generally, right? So if you apply this to Malaysia, the Adventist lady should live to about 85, 86, maybe 86 now. And the Adventist man in Malaysia should live to about 82 to 83. Okay? So between age 60 to age 83, or between age 60 to 87, there are still many useful years, productive years that can extend the kingdom of grace on this earth. And this is how actually in our Adventist churches in Australia and America, they will have many different community services. This morning I just watched the Adventist News Network for the Hope on the Hope TV. That it was just announced in Australia. The churches in Australia, the Adventist churches in Australia, going to offer this community service for depression recovery by Dr. Neil Netley in many churches. They are going to launch this by volunteers. Okay, so when we retire, you live longer, you can serve God better. Number 4, we might help the non-Adventists to find benefits and blessings of good health. At least if we don't bring them to the kingdom of grace and eventually kingdom of glory, at least they can enjoy this earthly life a bit better. It's unnecessary to enjoy and suffer. Okay, a lot of time people think without cigarette and alcohol, it's no life. I mean, at least maybe 20 years ago. Now, I think fewer people believe that you need cigarette to enjoy life. But still, there are still many people believing that they need alcohol to enjoy life. Okay? In our society, there are still many people who believe that they need. But it is really unnecessary. And many of these people, because they just focus on the here and now, they don't even bother about 6 hours later or 8 hours later when they wake up with a bad hangover. That's not enjoyable. We don't get up having this headache and hangover and dragging through the Sunday or Monday. We do not need to. That person, your friend, who actually get addicted to the alcohol, do not need to. He can have a great Sunday and enjoy, and the Saturday night still enjoy. I mean, I'm sure all the young people still enjoy your Saturday, and the Sunday you still can have another round of enjoyment, right? That is how God intended this health message to be. Help our non-Adventist friend to get the blessings of good health. Number 5, our mental perception might be sharpened. That is probably the most important part of these 5 reasons. Our mental perception needs to be sharpened to better understand truth. For those of you who are still studying to try to achieve good academic achievement, to actually prepare yourself to a fulfilling career and profession, this part is very important. You want to be smarter and to be able to do well in the school. So, health message is for this purpose. It's not just the truth in the Bible, it's not just a spiritual truth, but it is also secular truth. Some of you might know that actually John Newton, the discoverer of the law of gravity, was a keen Bible scholar. He was a keen Bible scholar. Okay? He believed in the Bible deeply. So the messages from the Bible can help us to understand even physical law, physical truth, even many other things better. So what's so unique about Adventist health message? Currently, if you start looking around the internet, you'll find that there are many websites, and or you go to the bookshop, go to newsstand everywhere in the shopping mall, you will find there are health magazines, and there are in the shopping mall also you have wellness center, food reflexology, facial, many centers providing health services, nutritional supplement companies. So what's so unique about Adventist health message? Now in the 19th century, Adventists were not the first to teach many aspects of healthy living. Adventists were not the first. Okay? There were many other pioneers, health reformers. Just to give you a few examples, some of us might know about Graham biscuit. Graham biscuit, I'm not very clear, but whole wheat flour, Graham flour. So Sylvester Graham actually was a Presbyterian minister in the early 19th century, in the 1820s. In the 1820s, he was one of those who started promoting avoiding refined white flour, to use refined white flour for the food, for making bread, okay. So he was the one, and of course he promoted many other things. And Dr. James Jackson, for those of us who are very familiar with our 8 natural remedies of fresh air, sunshine, water, nutrition, the 8 remedies. So actually, if you go to read James Jackson, the founder of Massachusetts General Hospital. Massachusetts General Hospital is actually one of the training centers for Harvard Medical School. Dr. James Jackson in the 1850s already introduced the 10 remedies, 10 natural remedies, which are actually practically similar to our 8 natural remedies. And Dr. R.T. Troll also in the 19th century already started promoting about vegetarian diet. Now, Dr. James Jackson already implemented this thing about a health recovery center, sanitarium in the 1850s. Dr. James Jackson is one of those early. So actually, Adventists were not the first one. Okay, we were not the first one. Now, what is the unique about our Adventist health message? Is we are the first one who emphasize that there is a philosophical and theological approach to health. That it is important, it is our religious duty to keep our body in good health. We started, Ellen G. White started quoting the 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and 1 Corinthians chapter 6, where actually, our body is bought with a price. Therefore, glorify your body, glorify God with your body. Okay? And also linking the Christian physical condition to spiritual experience. And this is just a uniqueness. But the other part that we practice is totally not unique to us as Seventh-day Adventists or health message. Now, how did our health message evolve? In 1848, like I said, I did not say that earlier. In the 19th century, tobacco smoke was used as a treatment for pulmonary tuberculosis, TB, lung infection. I suppose maybe it is like fogging away the dengue Aedes mosquito. So I think those days actually they believe that you can use a tobacco smoke to fog away the TB bacteria. Can it be true, Jivan? Maybe they will. Right. So they were using it as a way to treat. I mean, even till the late 19th century. Okay, like I said, actually many of our Adventist ministers before the formative year, I mean before this first vision, first message, actually they were all heavy smoker and meat eater. Okay, like I hope for those of you who study Adventist heritage in the Pathfinder, you know who is J.N. Laborov, and J.N. Laborov was stated in his writing about himself that he must have bread with thick drop of lard. Okay, this is in the 1840s or 1850s. So the first vision in the autumn of 1848, actually Ellen G. White actually was highlighted to her about the tobacco, injurious effect of tobacco, and also tea and coffee. Then in the 1854, other thing. Oh, by the way, at those time, actually Adventists, because they were living in the northeastern part of America, it was a cold country. In the winter, it's not so easy to take bath. It's very cold. I mean, those days there's no convenience of electricity. So if you want to have a warm water or hot water bath, you need to boil water. You need to get wood, or you need to have money to buy coal, I guess. So people may not take bath for weeks or even months. Okay? So therefore, the second message is about hydrotherapy. It sounds nicer if we say hydrotherapy. And also control appetite. Don't eat too much. It's quite simple message. The comprehensive health message came just about the time the church was officially organized. I think it was during the session the church was being officially organized. So it has many components now, and part of the very important highlight, which was the hallmark reasons of Adventist health message, is that caring for health is a religious duty. Most diseases are caused by a violation of laws of health. Condemnation of various forms of intemperance, alcohol, tobacco, spicy food, including overwork. I had to come to the later part of this reason for the more comprehensive vision, is that actually the Adventist health message was sent for James White and Ellen G. White. James White is Ellen G. White's husband, and they were the anchor pioneer of the church. And they were really, really overworked. So the health message was actually mainly for this couple. And if you remember, one of the 5 reasons of why God wanted to give us the health message is that so that the pioneers can live a longer life, or all of us who would serve Him, we can serve Him better, we can enjoy life. Okay, these are all very important. And the message was specifically meant for James and Ellen White, so that they could continue to serve and lead the church at that time. So overwork is a very key. Intemperance in work is an important message for the White family. Vegetarianism is advocated for the first time in 1863. Proper dietary habits necessary to control appetite. Control of mind is also essential. Natural remedies offered over drug medication. The first appearance of our 8 natural remedies, which is probably gleaned from Dr. James Jackson's 10 natural remedies. Because Dr. James Jackson, actually, remember I told you about that he actually started the sanitarium in the 1850s, helping people to recover. Because in the 19th century, the medication, the pharmacopoeia, so-called the medicine most of them were all really poisonous, like mercury and lead and all these heavy metals being used, and besides cigarette, tobacco. So in general, it actually made the patients become worse. It should make them worse rather than helping them to. And Dr. R.T. Troll observed that many times patients get well without any medical doctor intervention. Okay, that's where when he observed that, so it is possible that actually in the human body, in the creation of God, there is a healing process that can go on if you provide the right stuff, right food, right rest, right air, right sunshine, and all these things. So he observed that many patients could become much, much better. And that was what actually the concept of sanitarium, where actually patients go there to rest and have healthy food, and it actually helped. And of course, throughout the 20th century, because of the advancement of another aspect of the medicine, so this part was not very much highlighted, right? The conventional, because of the arrival of antibiotic, arrival of a discovery of vitamins. So the pharmacological intervention became a very primary focus of conventional allopathic medicine. But you will find that in the 21st century, we are returning to the 19th century, where the focus on sanitarium concept, when the rehabilitative, lifestyle rehabilitative intervention will become more and more prominent. And this at least has been highlighted in the World Health Organization. Okay, personal hygiene, environmental concern, health education. This is what I mentioned. So the special message was actually targeted on Ellen White and James White family, because they are the leaders, and James White, by the age of 50 plus, he already suffered 3 strokes. 3 strokes. Okay, and you can believe that actually the Adventists actually prayed together very hard for God's blessings to sustain one of their main leaders. James was actually the key leader, the main leader for bringing the movement together. And he was sustained until in his early 60s, he finally succumbed and died. But in the 1860s, he was just, I think, in his late 40s. By the time they received the message, I think he already had 3 strokes. Then later in December 25th of 1865, they received Ellen White received another message to start sanitarium, something like what James Jackson, right? So that they can educate people about the methods of preventive medicine. That's how actually the first health institution of Adventist was formed in the Battle Creek, Michigan. Okay, so but what is the health message Seventh-day Adventists received from Ellen White? This one, since I have 10 fingers, there are 10. Oh, by the way, this message is heavily dependent on a professor of theology from Andrews University in Michigan. Okay, he is Dr. Dennis Fortin. Dr. Dennis Fortin. He has done all the research from the various aspects. There is a significant link between Christian physical condition and spiritual experience, which has been mentioned earlier. Okay, there's a link between our physical health and our spiritual experience. Because when you don't feel well, it's quite hard to feel joyous and feeling abundant, to reflect God's original intention for human being. The health of the body is to be regarded as essential for growth in grace and the acquirement of an even temper. If the stomach is not properly cared for, the formation of an upright moral character will be hindered. The brain and nerves are in sympathy with the stomach. Erroneous eating and drinking result in erroneous thinking and acting. The body, number two, the body in general and the mind with its central nervous system in particular are the only medium through which God can communicate with human beings. This is very important. God communicates with us through our brain. So we need to keep our brain clear. And when you do not feel well, like when you are having a cold or so-called flu, it's very hard for you to concentrate, whether it is in your prayer or studying your Bible or preparing for exam, for that matter. So, therefore, we realize that even when we want to talk to another person, if we are having flu, it's hard for us to focus and understand what the other person trying to tell us. So in the same way, if we want to communicate with God and we do not have a clear mind, we will have difficulty in receiving the messages from God. This is probably the most important concept of the entire Adventist health message. Number three, although a person follows correct health practices as a sacred duty, yet in the act of obeying nature's health law and basic health principles, the Christian does not earn anything in the salvation and in eternal life. Now, Romans 14 verse 17. Salvation is not a matter of eating or drinking. We should never think that by keeping ourselves in good health, by living all the 8 natural health law strictly, means that we have obtained the ticket to heaven. We only can get salvation through Jesus Christ our Lord, as what Galatians chapter 2 verse 8 and 9 said. Okay, so salvation is only through the Lord, by faith, through grace, and that's not by our own work. But keeping our body in good health, we need to put effort. There are many times we depend on James chapter 5, where we say we gather the elders to come and pray and help us. Yes, we do believe in prayer for healing, but we also should go forth and act on our own care, self-care for health. Number four reason for health message. Number 4, the Christian in every act of life seek to be guided by 2 great principles. Actively seek to promote and maintain life and good health. Do the very best possible in every circumstances in life which we find ourselves in. So we do not apply what we learn and what we are practicing and impose it on another person or in another society. We need to help to see in that circumstances whether it is applicable. Christians will strive to follow principle of true temperance, which is defined as judicious or moderation in the use of all that is good, all that is health producing. I give a simple example nowadays to my patient that even in drinking too much water, you actually will can have side effect. Right? If you drink too much water, what is the side effect? For normal people, it's going to the toilet. And if you drink too much water at night, you disturb your sleep also, because you keep getting up and go to the toilet. It disturbs you. Okay? So even water is good, right? Nobody question water, plain water is good. But even drinking too much water, for normal people, can have undesirable side effect that disturb the quality of life. Right? Do not talk about rice or unpolished rice or whole wheat bread. They also can produce undesirable side effect. Total abstinence from all that is harmful and hurts. Right? The body can be polluted, defiled, and ultimately destroyed through various bad health habits. This for medical doctors or even for non-medical people, we probably can understand that, if you take, even by mistake, you take rat poison, you can be killed. And of course, something that is less harmful may take a longer time to kill you. Okay? Like, definitely alcohol is not as poisonous as rat poison, but it can kill you slowly. Ingestion of deleterious food and drink is harmful substances, insufficient exercise, insufficient physical activity, and the right kind. As I grow older, I begin to admit I'm growing older because of the thinning of hair and the graying of hair. I began to think about being more careful with my exercise. I'm quite an exercise enthusiast. I think exercise bring me good feeling. Like what the John chapter 10 verse 10 say about abundant life. You need to enjoy your life. You need to feel nice. You need to feel alive. And part of feeling alive is moving around, right? So climbing mountain, running, marathon, and all these things. And as I grow older, I begin to listen to my orthopedic colleague more carefully. I don't want to imagine that in my 60s or 70s, I will need a knee replacement. So right kind of exercise become important. And I begin to talk to the younger people that they might want to be careful about extreme sports. There are a lot of promotion about extreme sport now, in the media. Skateboard and all this thing, and you can see people get injury. Okay, professional sportsmen, actually they have plenty of injury. Their knee are all broken by the time they finish their career. In the late 30s or early 40s, they're all broken. Overwork, insufficient rest and relaxation or recreation, insufficient recreation. Notice that we didn't use the word insufficient entertainment. It's different. Okay? Feeding the mind upon the impure thoughts, improper posture, abuse of bodily organs, overeating, eating too fast, drinking too much liquid at mealtime, irregularity in mealtime, snacking in between meals, physical overexertion, straining, failure to employ natural remedies or insufficient amount. Now, God's church has an obligation to establish healthcare and education center to provide for two great needs: to provide healing for those affected with illness and disease, to propagate preventive methods in a program of health education. Whenever possible, let's use the 8 natural remedies. The New Start, I think, is easy for us to remember. Now, they are creative acronym for other areas, like creation health, celebration health. If you like all this, I think probably the Adventist at Penang follow-up meeting can run the video, or Pastor Doug Martin is an expert in teaching creation health from Florida Hospital. So you can join the meeting in the nursing college. Original Edenic vegetarian diet of fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables is still the ideal diet today. I won't stay on this too much. It used to be we used to lack, or very difficult for us to find scientific, well-researched papers to support, but it is very easy now. They are full of articles on this. In seeking to reform of others, attitude may be more important than precept. Okay? Our attitude of sharing the message is more important than just telling people what to do, because it may be very easy to just vomit this, like standing up here sharing with you this message is too simple, just standing here for half an hour to 35 minutes. But how can I model it? Like how Jesus modeled a good way of living when he was on earth in the 3.5 years. He has lived an example for us how to help people to lead a better life, a life that actually shows abundance. So the greatest patience, kindness, and courtesy, tact, and discretion must be exercised by us at all times if we want to be truly effective in exercising a positive influence for good for our friend around us. Health message is more than vegetarianism. It is more than diet and nutrition. It embraces the total concept of wellness and lifestyle, including physical exercise and mental, I guess you can say mental exercise, if you are not used to the word hygiene, mindset, thinking. Be more conscious of your thought processes or your what fly through your mind. In a split of second, you actually think of many things, right? Be more aware of what go through your mind. It is concerned with the prevention of disease, not just about curing diseases. It embraces the maintenance of good health and as well as recovery. It is possible through God that, the most difficult thing to help are the people with difficulty in their thinking. Okay, that's most difficult. Changing physical habits is a little bit easier, even though it's difficult, but it's still easier than mindset. This is what I've studied through the addiction problem. That actually it's very difficult to quit drugs like heroin, morphine, or for that matter, cigarette smoking. But it's even harder for people to quit gambling, addiction to internet or pornography. These are all my addiction. This is very important. John Harvey Kellogg, one of the early physicians of Adventist, one who was very, very famous in his lifetime, he said this, which I really echo. I have this same feeling. When a new thing is brought out into the medical work, which is in a medical environment, I know from my knowledge of the spirit of prophecy, from what is written in the Ellen White books, whether it belongs to our system or not. If it does, I instantly adopt it and advertise it, while the rest of the doctors are slowly feeling their way. And when they finally adopt it, I have already 5 years head start of them. On the other hand, when the medical profession is swept off their feet by some new fad, if it does not fit the light we have received, I simply do not touch it. When the doctors finally discover their mistake, they wonder how it came and I did not get caught. That's very interesting. Actually, in our current environment, the technology, the knowledge is increasing by leaps and bounds, like what Daniel chapter 12 says, knowledge will increase. Knowledge shall increase at the end time. And there's so many things in the market. Which is the right one that we should follow? And truly, when we have all the guidance, we actually can see the sun rising to a bright day for us if we take heed. And as we ask for God's protection, would we acknowledge that He has already given us a way to protect us? Would you want to ask for God's protection or adopt this protection that He has given to us? I thank God for giving us the health message as a way of protecting us, providing us an opportunity to experience abundant life here and now. In my childhood day, we used to play hen and eagle, is it? Is it called hen and eagle? In Chinese, it's called 老鹰抓小鸡. 老鹰抓小鸡. The eagle come to catch the chicken. So the mother hen had to protect. So if you know, in Peter, in the episode of Peter, actually it is the lion. But I guess sometimes Satan can come as an eagle also, trying to catch all these little chicken and cause you all to have problem. And God actually has already given us. He wants to put us under His wings. May we continue to hide under His wing of protection.